Welcome to your yoga practice. My name is Laura, and for those of you who are new to yoga, yoga is the practice of bringing unity into your body, mind, and the essence of your being, or your spirit as it's otherwise called. And today's practice, we're going to focus on the philosophy of Ahimsa. Now, Ahimsa is the practice of non-violence. And so when we think of being kind and compassionate, we think about how we can extend our kindness and compassion to others. However, Ahimsa invites us to extend that kindness and compassion to ourselves first and foremost. And in the practice of yoga, we start our practice of Ahimsa by thinking kind thoughts. And not just towards others, but first and foremost to ourselves. So as we engage in our practice this morning, I invite you to find a comfortable spot just to sit and take a moment to close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, just be aware of the shape of your body without judgment, without needing to change anything in any way, just noticing how your body feels in this moment. And as you scan from head down to toes, just noticing every single part of you and extending love, kindness, and compassion to every single part of you, welcoming yourself into the practice, welcoming your body into the practice, and extending gratitude to all parts of you that have shown up today. And as we engage in our physical practice today, Ahimsa also applies to extending kindness and compassion to oneself when moving through life and through your yoga practice. So if we think about ensuring that we're safe, that we're comfortable, that we challenge our bodies by choice, and practicing that idea of non-violence towards ourselves. So please work within the boundaries and the limitations of your body. If something doesn't feel right at any time, please ensure that you come to a resting position that feels safe and comfortable. That doesn't mean that you can't challenge yourself. Of course, yoga is designed to strengthen our bodies, to stretch our bodies. But if you feel any pain, any pinching, any pulling, please come to a resting position, because it probably means that your body has reached those boundaries of limitations. So challenge yourself by choice. Practice the art of Ahimsa, non-violence towards yourself. And at any stage, feel free to come to a resting position. So as we remain seated, we're going to just gently bring our awareness to the breath. Feel free to close your eyes throughout your practice. And as you tune into the breath, it might be the first time you've ever tuned into your breath, you may choose to place your hands on your belly. You might even choose to place one hand over your belly, one hand over your heart, or both hands over your heart, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Just tune into the rise and fall of the breath as it comes in and out of your body, without forcing it, without trying to change it in any way, just noticing the breath and noticing the parts of the body that are open to receiving your breath. Already the union of yoga is occurring as you make that connection between your breath and your body. Aware of your breath as it travels in and out of the body. And at this stage, we might invite a little movement into our bodies. If you wish, placing your hands on your lap, palms facing up. And with the breath in, stretch out your fingers With the breath out, very gently curl your fingers back in towards your palms. Breathing in, opening up your fingertips like flower petals, and breathing out, very gently curling them in. So we're bringing our awareness now to the extremities of our body, the fingertips. And as you do so, just very gently, matching the movement with your breath. Now we can layer this up again, staying within the boundaries, the limitations of your body today. So if something doesn't feel right, you can always layer back. As you breathe in, you might like to reach the arms up. And as you breathe out, you might like to paint the hands down. Breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out, floating them down as if you're painting a gentle picture in front of you. Breathing in, rising up, and breathing out, floating down. Breathing in, feel yourself growing tall, create a little more lift and length in the spine, and breathing out, softening, relaxing those arms. Let's do that one more time. And then gently rest your hands back in your lap. Let's keep the breath and the movement coordinated here. As we draw our awareness now to the base of your spine or your tailbone. As we breathe in, we grow tall, lifting up through the spine. And as we breathe out, gently curl your tailbone towards the front of the room. Scoop your belly button towards your spine and bring your chin to your chest. Inhale, tilt your tailbone towards the back of the room. Lift your heart, maybe lift your chin a little and lift your gaze. So here we're bringing some movement, some articulation into the spine. Some of you who are familiar with cat-cow move, this is just a little seated cat-cow. Using the exhalation to hug your heart, bringing a little extension into the spine, and inhale, lift your heart, tilt your tailbone back. Extension and flexion through the spine. Let's do this one more time. Feeling yourself growing a little more taller as you breathe in and lift your crown to the sky. This time we're going to take one hand down by your side, breathe in, reach up the opposite hand towards the ceiling. As you exhale, come into a lateral flexion of the spine and reach over to the side. Breathing in, painting rainbows up and over, and then exhale, come to the other side. So matching the movement with the breath again, breathing in to reach up, use the exhalation to come into a lateral flexion or a sideways stretch of the spine. Let's do that one more time on each side. Making sure that you're nice and even on both sides before returning back to center and feel that lift and length through your spine, the lift of your heart. Let's breathe in, float the hands up to the sky, and then exhale very gently, turn to one side, a very gentle open twist here. Feel yourself growing tall as you breathe in, and as you exhale, very gently twist. At this stage, you might like to take that back hand and wrap it around the back of the body towards opposite hip, palm open. Now again, this is just another layer. So feel free to add layers, feel free to come out of this position if it's a little too strong. We're just going to stay here for 1 or 2 more breaths. Using the inhalation to grow tall and the exhalation to very gently twist. Ever so gently release that back hand and breathe in, paint a rainbow up and over, tracing fingertips with eyes to unfurl. At this stage, if you're sitting with your legs crossed, you may choose to stretch those legs out long And bring your awareness down to your toes by pointing and flexing the toes. And then circling the feet. Changing direction. Now, depending on how your legs were crossed, you may wish to change the cross of your legs. As we bring that opposite hand down by our side and breathe in, reach the other heel of the hand to the ceiling. Exhale, reaching over, coming into that lateral flexion. And then breathing in, tracing rainbows up and over. Exhale to reach. So we're coming into that lateral flexion of the spine again, using the breath to lift, paint rainbows through the sky, use the exhalation to reach. So finding a little more space through the side of the body from hip to armpit, all the way to the fingertips, opening up through the sides of the rib cage, opening up into each lung. Let's just do that one more time on each side, making sure that we're nice and even on both sides. Matching your movement with your breath. Bringing union into breath and body. And then very gently release both hands. Taking a breath in, feel yourself growing tall. Feel as if you've created a little more space in between each vertebrae. And use the exhalation to soften. Let's very gently come to standing. So when standing, you might like to take the feet comfortably apart so that you feel nice and balanced here. And a gentle rock forwards and backwards will ensure that you're bringing your weight evenly into the soles of the feet and the balls of the feet. You might even like to start to rock from side to side and just bring awareness to the outer edges of your feet. And as you do so, you might even like to lift those toes, separate them, and then grip them back into the mat. So once you feel nice and grounded, sturdy and balanced here with your feet planted on the floor, again, use that breath. Breathe in, grow tall. Use the exhalation to very gently soften your arms by your side. This is mountain pose or Tadasana. And we're going to bring some movement into the spine once again through our breath and our movement. Taking a breath in, growing tall. And as you exhale, soften those hands, soften the arms by your side. On your next breath in, reaching up this way, bringing the arms out to the side and bringing the palms to meet overhead. But keep a softness in the joints of the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists and the fingers. Using the breath now to create a little more space in the sides of the lungs, in the sides of the ribs. Using the breath in to feel the expansion. Almost imagine your lungs are unfurling like a pair of wings inside your rib cage. And on your next breath out, very gently draw the hands down to the heart, thumbs resting on the heart space. When our hands make shapes that mirror each other, that's called a mudra. So the position here where we have our hands in a prayer position is Anjali Mudra. And this mudra is designed to bring unity, balance into our body and our mind. So whenever we come into this mudra or this hand gesture, think about bringing balance and equilibrium into your body and mind. As you interlace the fingers now, very gently guide the hands out towards the front of the room and feel that stretch through the underside of your arms. If you'd like, bring your chin to your chest and also notice that spread across the back of your shoulder blades. Breathe into that space behind your heart, in between your shoulder blades, and create a little more space, a little more expansion. Keep your hands where they are. Very gently lift your head back over your heart. Now you can return the hands to the heart if you choose into Anjali Mudra, or you might like to take the hands up to the sky now. Keep the fingers interlaced, guide the heels of the hands to the sky. And this time we find the lift, the length, the reach out of the hips. Feel yourself growing tall as you lift the crown to the sky. And then exhale, float those hands down. Relaxing the arms by your side, returning to mountain pose. We're going to take one hand and place it against our thigh. Reach the opposite hand up to the sky. Breathe in. As you exhale, come into a lateral flexion of the spine by reaching long and guiding opposite hip out to the side. Breathing in, paint rainbows up and over, and exhale, reach to the other side. Now, if you do get a little sore or tired in the shoulders, you can keep both hands down by your side, resting on your thighs, and just focus on that lateral flexion or the sideways bend of the spine here. Otherwise, taking those arms up and over. One more time on each side, making sure that you're nice and balanced. And then returning to center. So we're going to come into a spinal twist like we did when we were seated. We're going to take a breath in, grow tall, hands come to the sky, and then exhale, taking hands down to the heart. Using the breath in to grow tall. And then exhale, turn to one side, keep your feet planted firmly on the ground. Inhale to come back to center. Exhale, turn to the other side. So it's a twist from the rib cage here. We're imagining that we're twisting from the center of our body, not from our shoulders. If you'd like to add a little more, next time you twist, open up your arms at shoulder height. Reach the fingertips in opposite directions. Breathing in, return to center. Exhale, twist to the other side. If you wish, opening up your arms. And then breathing in, return to center. Let's just do that one more time on each side. And then returning back to center. Let's take a breath in, take the fingertips to the sky, keep a softness in the shoulders, the elbows, the joints of the arms and the hands, as you breathe space into the sides of the ribs. And then exhale, draw the hands down to the heart, interlace the fingers, guide hands out towards the front of the room, give your heart a little hug and find that sense of expansion across the shoulder blades. Inhale, returning head back over the heart, and if you wish, reaching to the sky. A nice deep breath in, feel free to come up onto the toes, and exhale, float those hands down, resting on the heels the moment the hands touch the thighs. Excellent. Let's come to a sideways stance on our mat so that we can reach out long when we need to. Coming up to the back of your mat, keep your feet comfortably hip to shoulder width apart. And again, find that nice balance between the balls of the feet and the heels of the feet. Let's take another deep breath in. Circle the hands up. Lifting up out of the hips and exhale. Bring the hands together in prayer position or Anjali Mudra at the heart. Now we're imagining that our spine is like a bike chain. We're going to curl down vertebrae by vertebrae. Taking the chin to the chest, give your heart a hug, scoop your belly button towards your spine, and then very gently curl down vertebrae by vertebrae. You can keep a bend into the knees as you come all the way down and bring the hands to the floor. If you'd like to pop a deeper bend into the knees, you may, particularly if you've got tight calves or tight hamstrings. And if it's comfortable to do so, hold on to opposite elbow and just let yourself hang out here.
You might like to gently rock from side to side. Now at this point you are going to feel a gentle opening through the outer edges of your hips and the outer edges of your thighs. You might even feel that running down the soft tissue or along the sciatic nerve here, reaching down into your little toe. Just opening up through the back of the legs and gently releasing through those hips. So ever so gently, just allowing yourself to come to stillness and releasing through the neck by popping a little nod into the head or a little no action. And then very gently releasing those hands. We're going to walk the hands out to the front of the mat. And then very gently come down to all fours. Let the big toes kiss. Take the knees out a little wider. Bring the hips to the heels and send those arms out nice and long. This is your child's pose or a variation of child's pose called extended child's pose or full pranam. Bring your forehead to the mat and just gently find the breath and breathe length into the sides of the body. You might even like to gently roll the head from side to side, massaging out through the brow, through the forehead, releasing any tension that you might have. As you relax the facial muscles and just find a deep sense of relaxation here. Taking a pause, a breath in. Feel free to sigh it out through the mouth. Another deep breath in through the nose. Feel free to release as you soften into this shape. Taking those fingers nice and wide now, taking pinkies to the edges of your mat. We're going to keep the spine nice and long. Tuck the toes under wherever you are. Keep the length through the spine and simply lift the hips. This is called downward facing dog. So here we're in a nice triangle shape. A little trick here is to hug your abdominals in towards your spine and lengthen your shoulder blades down into your back pocket. So imagine you're reaching your rib cage out of your hips. We're going to take our right leg up to the sky. Breathe in. And then exhale, hinge your body weight forward as you send that right foot between your hands. Lower your back knee. This is our low lunge. We're gently going to rock the hips forwards and backwards. Now, we can stay with this movement and just the movement alone, or you may wish to match the movement with your breath. So breathing in, bring the hips forward, lift your heart. Breathing out, send the hips back as you straighten through that right leg. Breathing in, lift your heart. Breathing out, resting back. Now you can graduate if you like to the next level if it feels comfortable to do so, remembering the philosophy of Ahimsa, so practicing compassion and kindness towards your body. If you'd like, you can tuck under that back toe and come into a high lunge. Breathe in, coming forward with the hips. Breathing out, straightening that front leg as you guide the hips towards the back of the mat. Whichever variation you find yourself in, next time you exhale, we're going to send the hips back, straighten out through that right leg. Now here we're in a half forward triangle fold. So we've got our right leg straight, our hips are still above that back knee, and we're reaching the crown towards the short end of the mat or the long end of the mat. Reaching your spine long, your heart to the horizon. Again, the variation here is to tuck those toes under and come into a full forward triangle fold. Either way, we're reaching long. We take a breath in, growing tall and long through the spine. Send the shoulder blades down into the back pockets. If you'd like a little more and it's not too strong in the outer edge of that right leg, you can guide the left hip forward, the right hip back. So you're squaring up your hips to the short end of your mat. A nice deep breath in, and then exhale, come back into your lunge of choice, low lunge or high lunge. Again, we're going to return to a downward facing dog. So take those fingers nice and wide, take pinkies to the edges of the mat, plant your hands on the mat. As you breathe in, soften through the hips. As you breathe out, send that right foot back. Now you might like to pedal out the legs here, or take your dog for a little walk by guiding one knee down towards the floor, popping a bend into the knee and guiding opposite heel back. Now let's come into the other side. So again, lift your hips almost as if they're being lifted up by a sling. Reach your ribcage out of your hips so that you're sliding your shoulder blades down into your back pockets. We're going to lift that left leg now. So breathing in, lift left leg to the sky, and then exhale, hinge your body weight forward and plant that left foot between the hands. Let's start in a low lunge to see how it feels as we guide the hips forward and backwards. Now, as you get a feel for this, again, you can either just stay with the movement or you can match the movement with the breath, breathing in to guide the hips forward, breathing out to glide them back. You might start to feel that this side's slightly different to the other side. There might be a little more space, or it might not feel right to come into a high lunge on this side. So you can take a different option for different sides of the body, knowing that we are asymmetrical beings. And sometimes one side of the body carries a little more tightness than the other. Sometimes one side of the body, we find it a little bit easier to move through these shapes. So take an option that feels right for this side of the body. If you wish, you can come into your high lunge, breathe in, glide the hips forward, and breathe out, glide them back. Again, you can stay with just the movement, or you can match the movement with your breath. Find that union between breath and body. Next time you breathe out, whether you're in your high or low lunge, guiding the hips back. We've got that front leg straight, and if you're in your low lunge, the hips remain over that back knee. Reaching the crown long and away from the tailbone, reaching your heart to the horizon. If you'd like to come up into that high forward triangle fold, then lift that back knee. If you'd like a little more, guide that right hip forward, the left hip back. You're going to feel that through the outer edge of that front leg and perhaps all the way down to your little toe. Reach your ribcage out of your hips. Shoulder blades down into your back pockets. Breathe in. And then exhale, glide the hips forward. Preparing to come back into your downward facing dog. Spread the fingertips wide, pinkies to the edges of the mat. Breathe in and exhale to travel. Send the feet back. You might like to take your dog for a little walk here. And then we're going to have a little pause in child's pose. Breathing in, coming up onto the toes, exhale down onto the knees. Big toes kiss, take the knees a little wider and send the hips to the heels. So here you can pause in extended child's pose or full pranam, or you might like to take the hands down by your feet, palms facing up and round those shoulders forward. Take a little pressure off the shoulders and find a nice surrender here in this shape. If the forehead doesn't comfortably meet the mat, you can always stack your hands one on top of the other to support your forehead. Whichever variation you like, the choice is yours. So just let the shoulders round forward. Let your body soften in this shape. And if you choose to return to the breath, just noticing how the breath travels in and out of the body, noticing the spaces that feel open to receiving the breath, noticing the spaces that soften with each breath out. You might choose to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose and out through your mouth. And then very gently, taking your hands underneath your shoulders, but keep the forehead grounded. Again, we're going to imagine that the spine is like a bike chain as we gently peel up vertebrae by vertebrae, imagining that you are a fern frond unfurling very gently, opening up, and then rolling the shoulders back and down last. Gently rolling them back and down. And here in a kneeling position, breathing in, circling the hands up, lifting up to the sky. Palms meet, and then exhale, drawing the hands back down to the heart into prayer position or Anjali Mudra. If you wish, resting back on the heels, and giving your heart a little hug, extending kindness, compassion and gratitude to all parts of you that enabled you to practice today. Every single part of you, from head down to your toes, that enabled you to step onto the mat and engage in a practice that unified your body, mind, and the essence of your being. As you very gently lift your head and exhale, release those hands. Let's come off the knees. Give those feet a little bit of a stretch and a flex again. Pointing and flexing the toes and circling the feet in both directions. Very gently, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together in what we call a butterfly. So here, a little flutter of those knees will allow you to open up through the inner thighs. So we've got a few major parts of the body that we've released through today: the spine, the shoulders, the hips. And these areas of the body tend to store the most tension. And so it's really important in our yoga practice that we allow time to release in those parts of the body. So here in your butterfly position, where you've got your heels drawn close to your groin, I'd invite you to very gently take them out a little further, because we are going to come into a forward fold. I'm also very gently going to open up the inner edges of my feet, almost like a book opening. So the outer edges remain touching, but in that simple opening of the book, we allow our knees to drop out to the side. So breathing in, lifting up nice and tall. We've got a nice straight long spine here, crown reaching away from your tailbone, shoulders lengthen down in towards your back pockets. Breathing in to grow tall, turn the palms up. And then exhale, leading with your heart towards your feet. Allow yourself to fold forwards. Keep the crown reaching tall. Create a little more length in your spine as you breathe in. And then exhale, folding down. Forehead now comes towards the feet. Gently folding, gently releasing. Let's stay here for 3 to 5 breaths, knowing that everyone's breath is going to be slightly different, knowing that your boundaries and your limitations, what you practice Ahimsa, are going to be different to mine. And just noticing how the breath, particularly that exhalation, allows you to soften and surrender into this shape. Using that breath out to soften, release, surrender. And after your 3 to 5 breaths, Very gently breathing in, lifting your head, lifting your gaze, and float those hands back towards you. And rolling those shoulders back and down, helping the knees together, stretch out the legs, and give the legs a little bit of a stretch here by flexing and extending those toes. Circling the feet in one direction and then circling in the other. Beautiful. So that position that we're in, the butterfly position, we're going to come back into that position, but we're going to extend out one leg. So one foot is drawn in towards the groin. The other leg is extended out at a 45-degree angle. This time we're going to come in a very gentle twist by breathing in, reaching the hands up to the sky, and then exhale, turn to bent knee side, floating the hands back down as we reach the hand that corresponds with that lengthened leg into the inner side of the leg, and exhale, reach down long. Now, there's not going to be any force or strain here. It's a softening over that leg with our heart open to that bent knee. Option here is to keep that back hand resting. You can wrap it around the back of your body towards the hip crease. Very gently softening your gaze or even closing your eyes. Again, 3 to 5 breaths here. If you would like, you can take that back hand up and over. Keep it in line with your ear so that you're not crowding your heart. You keep your heart open. And if you choose, for the last 2 to 3 breaths, just reaching long towards that extended leg. And as you unfurl, breathe in, paint a rainbow up and over with that back hand to come back up to center. Now, counter pose to create a little bit of space in that hip is to plant the back hand, reach the opposite hand up towards the sky, point extended leg, the toe on the extended leg, reach the hips up high, and come into a half wild thing. Exhale very gently, float those hips down and come back to center. Again, a little stretch and a flex of the legs, the point of the toes, circle of the feet if you wish. Returning back to our butterfly position, and again, we're going to keep that one foot in, the opposite foot this time. The other leg comes out at a 45-degree angle. Breathing in, floating the hands up to the sky, and exhale, turn towards bent knee. We float the hands down, taking the same hand that corresponds with extended leg to the inner side of that leg. Breathe in, grow tall. Exhale, reach down the inner side of that leg. Keep your heart open to bent knee. And if you like, wrap that back hand around towards the hip crease. Keep a softness in your face. Keep the jaw relaxed. 3 to 5 breaths, and if you choose, for the last 2 to 3 breaths, you might like to take that back hand up and over beside the ear, keeping your heart open to bent knee, keeping a softness here, finding that reach from hip to armpit all the way to the fingertips. And to unfurl, we breathe in, paint a rainbow up and over to come back to center. Counter pose, a half wild thing, planting back hand, pointing toes on extended leg, reaching up, guiding hips forward as you lift up, reaching long from toes to fingertips. Breathe in and exhale. Float down. Extend those legs. Now it is customary to finish every yoga practice in stillness. And because it is our first yoga practice together, I do invite you to get comfortable with pillow, blanket, whatever you need into Shavasana or corpse pose. Making your way down onto your mat. Because we have just opened up into our hips, it might feel nice to come into a reclining butterfly pose. So resting your feet together, your knees out wide, and keeping your hips open. If this is not comfortable, or if for whatever reason you've got some tightness in your lower back, you can keep a bend into the knees. Allow the knees to drop together, the feet as wide as your mat. Or if you prefer traditional Shavasana or corpse pose, extend the legs out long. Just make sure that you are comfortable and warm. Feel free to close your eyes or fix your gaze upon a single point on the ceiling and just tune into your body again. As you scan from head to toe, just noticing how your body feels after your practice. Noticing the spaces that feel lengthened, stretched, warm, open. And as you breathe, you might choose to place both hands over your belly, or one hand over your heart, one on your belly. Just noticing the breath travelling through the body. Noticing the spaces that feel open to receiving the breath. Noticing the spaces that release as you exhale, softening a little closer toward the earth. This practice of stillness and connecting to our body and our breath and noticing the union between the two, this practice of Shavasana, is ideally practiced 5 to 10 minutes after a class in stillness, so that you can not only embody the physical practice, but you can benefit from being present and noticing the subtle changes within your body. So always take the time after your yoga practice to settle into stillness. Feel free to put on some music. Feel free to stay here longer. Just noticing the breath travelling through the body, noticing the subtle shifts and changes. Noticing how perhaps you feel lighter, like you've created a little more space within. And noticing as you scan from head to toe how every single part of you showed up to your practice this morning. Extending kindness, compassion, love, and gratitude to all parts of you. Now feel free to stay here a little longer if you choose, or if you like to continue on with your day. Have a big stretch, perhaps a yawn, a sigh, a nice big stretch, and then hug the knees into the chest. Give yourself a warm embrace. Maybe start to circle the knees in one direction as you massage out through your lower back, and then circle in the other direction. And then taking your time to roll out to one side and pause there for a moment before making your way up to a comfortable seat once again. It is customary to finish a yoga practice by circling all of that positivity, that energy in. So if you wish, circle the hands up, breathing in, reaching up to the sky. Allow the hands to meet and then draw them back down to the heart in Anjali Mudra or prayer position. And here, as we bring our practice to a close, we offer a sign of respect, honour and integrity to ourselves and to others. Namaste.
by breathing in, reaching up tall, coming into that spinal stretch on the other side. Exhale, float the hands down. And again, use the breath in to grow tall. Use the exhalation to gently twist. And if you'd like to take that back hand around the back of the body and wrap it around towards the opposite hip, feel free. Just staying here for 1 or 2 more breaths, again, working within the boundaries and limitations of your body today. If the back hand is wrapped around the body, very gently release. And breathing in, tracing a rainbow up and over to unfurl.